Everyone, and thanks for joining us today for this webinar to look at mobile and desktop retail shopping trends. I'll note that if you have questions, feel free to drop them into the question pane on the right of your screen, and we'll try to get to as many of those as possible at the end. And with that, I'll get started. My name is Matt Pace, and I lead the retail and CPG industry practice here at Millward Brown, and I will be leading the discussion today. As many of you know, Millward Brown Digital was formed last summer through the combination of Dynamic Logic and Compete. This summer, we welcomed Insight Express to the family, which further strengthened our world-class media effectiveness solutions and technology platform. Together, we empower clients with more holistic brand and media insights, unparalleled visibility into the consumer path to purchase, and faster, more granular analysis of cross-platform advertising effectiveness. We are, in fact, the world's leading digital experts in helping clients grow great brands. And we do this by delivering integrated behavioral and attitudinal solutions paired with our industry expertise to help marketers identify, understand and engage consumers, and plan and optimize media to increase their total brand performance. We're in the business of measuring online consumer attitudes and behavior across all devices as consumers navigate the path to purchase. Brands and retailers need a greater understanding of the success of their digital and e-commerce investments designed to engage and convert consumers. So what we do is we provide our retail clients clear visibility into their site performance relative to driving conversions and steady abandonment, as well as competitive intelligence to put their performance in context to rivals and best practices. Manufacturers leverage our digital channel data and insights across their key retailer websites to really better understand how and where shoppers consider their brands and categories online. This is done by harnessing the power of what we observe people actually doing on their desktop and mobile devices, complemented with insights gleaned from surveys and other tools. Today, we all are witnesses to, and actually enablers of, the ever-expanding role of mobile on consumers' lives, and the explosion, really, of new channels through which marketers can connect with shoppers as they research, engage with, and purchase products. Shoppers, of course, are savvier than ever. When I step back, I'm actually really amazed to think about how quickly m-commerce has revolutionized how consumers shop. Think for a second of how far we've come in just about 20 short years. In the early 90s, consumers shopped almost exclusively in physical stores, which meant their desires to shop needed to conform to stores' actual hours of operation. If stores weren't open, consumers really couldn't shop. As the internet rose to prominence, e-commerce enabled shoppers to shift some of those purchases online, but still really required a degree of shopper conformity. While consumers could shop in the virtual world at all hours of the day, they need to be sitting at their computer to do this, often in the quiet of our peak hours at home or when the boss wasn't looking at work. Now, with the near ubiquity of smartphones and other mobile devices, consumers, really like the devices themselves, are untethered and carry with them at all times easy and ready access to shopping at the tap of an app anytime and anywhere. They can now shop freely whenever they want to shop online or to use their devices to better inform in-store purchase decisions. Today, consumers don't go to stores so much as stores go with them. And oh, the places they go. In partnership with Facebook, we recently analyzed the impact of mobile devices on the in-store shopping experience and found that they are used practically everywhere for shopping-related activities. 64% of shoppers, in fact, use their devices while navigating store aisles, while 44% use them while in the parking lot before entering stores. 5% even reported using their phones to shop while in dressing rooms. You know who you are. As mobile devices rise in popularity and accessibility, the shift of e-commerce dollars to mobile is accelerating. While this new world is exciting, it can also be terrifying for marketers, as mobile is simultaneously a top priority but also really a glaring blind spot. Today I hope to shed a little light on that blind spot as I share with you some of the data and perspective we have on the mobile shopper. Of course, it wasn't long ago that prognosticators predicted the end of the PC industry as mobile devices freed consumers to go online anywhere and everywhere. But a funny thing happened on the way to extinction. Recent reports point to a rebounding PC sales, particularly in large developed markets. IDC recently forecast that PC sales this year will actually rise nearly 6% in mature markets like the US, their best showing since the debut of the iPad in 2010. And in their words, direct competition with tablets seems to be waning. To which the humble and embattled PC simply responds, reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. In fact, earlier this year we released some groundbreaking multi-screen research dubbed Ad Reaction, which I'm sure many of you saw, explored multi-screen advertising and consumer receptivity to ads across digital devices. In this we found that the varied screens consumers use on a daily basis serve unique roles and complement rather than compete with each other. Smartphones are the workhorses, do-it-all devices which enable really ready access for us to social media, email, messaging, and the like as we look for information. Desktops and PCs really are the darlings of productivity, enabling much faster multitasking, content creation, and online browsing and shopping. Tablet use, such as in my home, if yours is anything like ours, is largely for entertainment. But that is selling them a bit short. They're in fact become an extension of the TV viewing experience and have revolutionized the way consumers engage dynamic visual content on these screens. For today, we wanted to explore mobile device usage further as it relates to shopping. To do that, we focused on 10 major U.S. retailers spanning different categories and observed passively collected mobile shopping activity of thousands of consumers using our software they installed on their smartphones. We chose these 10 to be representative, though it's certainly just scratching the surface. Despite the near saturation of smartphones over the past couple of years, we've generally seen continued growth in desktop-based shopping activity based on the number of visits tallied to the sites. While unique visitor counts for the sites we analyzed have seen dips of roughly 9% over the past year, there are some caveats. Traffic to the leading sites, Amazon and Walmart, for example, is essentially flat, while JCPenney's 25% year-over-year decline dragged down the average for everyone. Those who shop on PCs are doing so today with greater intensity than ever before. When comparing activity on these sites across mobile devices and PCs, the first thing we noticed was that the mobile shopping had room to run before nearing desktop activity. Here we are looking at reach, which, to think about it, is the percent of consumers online that visit a site out of all people online, either on desktops or mobile devices. On the desktop, the 10 sites we analyzed each reach, on average, 17% of people online each month, with the largest site, of course, Amazon, far outpacing that. On average, 3 out of 5 people online visit Amazon at least once each month on their PC. The story is a bit different on mobile by comparison, where these same retailers draw an average of just 7% of all mobile users, or 53% less than on the desktop. Among the top 10 sites, Best Buy actually stands out with the highest ratio of its mobile reach to its desktop reach at 60%. While there is indeed headroom to grow, the theme we'll return to is that the very nature of the use of these devices is different. So how are consumers interacting with these retailer sites? What we're looking at here is the percent of mobile visitors to each retailer that arrive via their browser as a percent of all mobile visitors to these sites. So for example, this would say that 73% of mobile visitors to Target do so at least once a month via their browser. On average, 6 in 10 mobile visitors to the sites we analyze use their browser to navigate and shop the site. The reason for this may include the type of shopping trip the consumer has in mind, such as simple price comparison or to find reviews. It may also reflect consumer reluctance to download all but the retailer apps they use most frequently. And even then, their desire for speed and convenience, they simply choose to use the browser they're already accustomed to using to find information. The desire to compare prices across multiple sites really runs counter to the function and role of retailer apps. Apps are great for making the mobile experience better in theory. However, the walled nature of each app may in fact be limiting their appeal and usage to a subsegment of your loyal customer base. Consumers seem to want the speed and the convenience of finding what they want, the item, price, and availability, for example. Turning now to Amazon, we want to understand whether or not its massive desktop popularity extends to mobile. Here you see Amazon's share of monthly shopping visits as a percentage of all visits across the top 10 sites we analyzed. The inner circle represents their PC desktop share, whereas the outer circle is mobile. Among this group, Amazon accounts for 70% shopping trips on the desktop, but 61% on mobile, with the remaining 9 sites that were included in our analysis making up the balance. This, of course, has implications for brands seeking to impact consumers throughout their shopper journey. Rival retailers can take some solace in knowing that cross-shopping activity is very different on mobile devices. While consumers often start with Amazon, the site has a much greater spillover effect on the entire mobile marketplace than on desktops. I'll come back to that point a little later. Removing Amazon altogether provides a better glimpse, I think, at the performance of the other sites in transferring their share of shopping trips from desktop to mobile. Here we see further examples of consumers showing preference toward the large multi-category discount retailers. Well, Walmart has stretched its lead over Target on the desktop. On mobile, we see near parity between the sites. On mobile, giving trip planning and price shopping tendencies, consumers appear to shop the sites they frequent in store, which isn't directly the case with desktop shopping activity. We often, and you might find this, visit retailers online that you wouldn't visit typically in a physical store when looking for a good deal. Looking across the sites further, we can compare the frequency of return visits on mobile devices versus desktops. What I find interesting here is the general break between value-based stores on the left, which drive considerably higher repeat mobile shopping activity within a month compared to desktop, versus the more specialty retailers on the right, whose mobile repeat visit rates mirror those of PCs. So traffic trends are interesting as a foundation, but what do these shoppers do after arriving on a site to shop? Here we can look at the number of search queries the average shopper performs each time they visit Amazon.com. First on mobile and then on desktops. While the likelihood of a mobile or desktop visit to contain at least one search is identical, about 33%, the frequency of searching on that visit is vastly different. Shoppers are clearly purpose-driven on Amazon. They want information. What I find striking is how retailers in general have responded to mobile shopping by largely porting the functionality and design of their desktop-based websites onto their mobile sites and apps, seemingly assuming that consumers' needs are the same across all platforms. They are not. On most retailer apps and mobile sites that I've experienced, search seems like an afterthought, often squeezed onto the page to make room for all the content and directory-based navigation of desktops. Like in the early days of e-commerce, mobile retail experiences seem largely built around navigation. But consumers largely shun navigation on these sites on mobile, as they are often looking for information on a specific product, and they want it immediately. If they can't find it, they will leave in hopes of finding the information elsewhere. Imagine instead an experience where search was at the center of the action. Think for a second of Kayak. They certainly could list airlines' entire flight schedules and allow consumers to browse through it all, but that would be ridiculous. Instead, the site is built with the expectation that a search will be used, and their robust and user-friendly search filters are the magic tools that allow consumers to find just the right flight that meets their needs. A mobile shopping experience built with a clear focus on consumers' needs and objectives rather than the retailer's objectives would be a site both for these sore eyes and I believe for many consumers as well. My last two data slides really hold silver linings for both brands and retailers. First, for brands. Here we see the number of products consumers view during a visit to Amazon and Walmart on their mobile devices compared, of course, to desktop activity. What's striking here is that Amazon mobile shoppers actually consider more products than on the desktop in a particular visit, whereas there's marked drop-off in the depth of product exploration on Walmart. Amazon currently plays a unique role in the mobile shopper experience. Knowing where to find and influence mobile shoppers is a key input to brands' investment decisions. Now a bit of silver lining for retailers. This is a pretty dense slide, but let me help you walk through it. For rivals fearing the steady growth of Amazon, they can take solace in the fact that while consumers may well visit Amazon to find product information, prices, and reviews, the spillover to other retailers on mobile is much higher than on desktop. Here, for example, we focus on the change in cross-shopping between Amazon and Walmart visitors on mobile versus desktop. This would say, for example, that mobile shoppers on Amazon are 38% more likely to also visit Best Buy than desktop shoppers on Amazon. In fact, Amazon appears to be consumers' mobile shopping showroom, turning the concept of showrooming nearly on its head. How's that for karma? Rival sites and stores can benefit from this showrooming if they are prepared to aggressively compete to win over reluctant shoppers in need of assurances around things such as price. To summarize the 4 key takeaways, and then we'll move to questions. Marketers, as I have stated here, really need full visibility into consumers' path of purchase, inclusive of mobile, to allow them best align their resources to optimize their shopper touchpoints. You can't optimize what you can't see. When done right, the mobile shopping experience really complements rather than threatens desktop shopping. This way to think about it is mobile plus PC rather than mobile versus PC. Third, marketers that focus on the need state of their mobile shoppers will succeed in creating new experiences that enrich rather than frustrate shoppers. An example of that was searches we described earlier on. Yeah, re-envisioning the site experience to focus in on an activity consumers on their mobile devices are prone to do on your site. And finally, the silver lining is that Amazon's strength, while clearly translating from desktop onto the mobile space, can be a blessing in disguise for savvy rivals and brands who can use the platform to reach consumers where they begin their shopping activity, and for retailers can benefit from that spillover effect when Amazon shoppers on mobile naturally migrate to other sites that are relevant to the brands and retailers that they visit on a physical store basis. Those are the key takeaways that I wanted to share with you today. This was some preliminary analysis that we've done looking at over early parts of this year. Certainly scratching the surface, but some information that we felt we wanted to get out to the public. And what I want to do now is open that to any questions. I think there's been a lot of questions that have come in. We'll take a few. You're welcome to stay on as long as you like, and we can get these for a couple minutes. I'll also say that we will be posting a summary of the audio of this broadcast tomorrow. We'll send that out to everyone that was on the invite. If you got specific questions, shoot me an email as well. I'd be happy to talk to you about ways in which we can get this information to your organization. Some of the questions that I see here. First, there was a question around kind of the depth of our data. The comment made being, we focused this short analysis today just on 10 retailers. Can we see beyond that? We certainly can. I think our focus today was to keep things representative, looking at a wide swath of retailers, but just like people that are accustomed to working with us in the desktop space know that we have clear line of sight into what all the websites that consumers visit and things like the search terms that they enter in. So we certainly can go deeper than what was presented here. So that was a good question. There's a question around app. That's a great question. When we say app, are we talking about retailer-owned apps or any app? The focus here really was on retailer-owned app. So thinking about, when you're on a mobile device, the two primary ways of navigating to a retailer site and participating in that content are opening up the retailer's app versus using their browser to get to that. Hope that happens. There's a question here also about 2013 and comparative app activity. Great question. At Millward Digital, we've been focusing heavily on expanding our mobile capabilities such that we can have ongoing trended data and insights. For the purposes of what we're doing today, we're really focused on 2014 on beyond, when our data set kind of reached the critical mass that allows us to do the types of metrics and insights that we share with you today. Let's see. Another question about mobile lift, is tablets included? It is included, but for today we didn't delineate between a tablet versus a mobile handset. Let's see. Any other questions? There's a great question. We focus today on retail. Do we have this data available for other industries? We do. We actually put out some information a couple months back that focused on travel and in the automotive space, actually. Sorry, I apologize. It was the automotive industry. That's data that's been made available, and if you shoot us a note, we can get you that content as well. We at Millward Digital have experts across many lines of business, and we are, as soon as we have the data available, making as much publicly available for your consumption as we can. So you can expect additional presentations like this to follow. We have experts in the telecom space, in the travel industry, financial services, and the like. There was a question. There was a question here around our methodology. For today, what the data that we've provided in the actual content slides, we're really focused on behavior-based metrics. So our methodology is founded upon the fact that consumers have put our software on their devices, and we've been experts in analyzing consumer behavior, first on the desktop for the past 10, 12 years. So applying that same rigor to looking at how consumers use their mobile devices is how we found it today. So all the metrics were behavior-based. We saw people visit these retailers. We saw them navigate between the sites and the method in which they arrived. And from that, we are basing our findings. Okay. Let's see. Another clarifying question. We talked about retail today, which is really, really massive. The question was what types of goods were in the study. We really painted a really broad brush today, looking not at specific products, but when we made the points around Amazon or the products and search terms and the like, we really focused it on general sort of site-wide activity rather than focusing in on one category or another, though we certainly have that capability. And that's where our clients get a lot of the value from us, is where we parse what's happening on a retailer site beyond just how many people are going to it. So we can do similar types of analysis looking at categories or products, but today's was just an umbrella approach looking at all activity on these sites. Okay. Let's see if there's any that I didn't cover. I think, just scrolling through the others, I think we covered the rest. So I appreciate, there was a flood of questions. I apologize if we didn't hit your question. Shoot me a follow-up note. I'm just trying to sort through on the fly here. But I appreciate the feedback, appreciate the questions that you have as we try to bring this data to life for you. Again, we'll be sharing the rebroadcast of this information tomorrow. You should look for an email that will link you to that. And definitely shoot me a line if you have additional questions, if there's things that we can answer or help you really explore this growing and really exciting area, which is mobile shopping. With that, I'll give you the rest of your hour back and wish you a happy rest of your day.